accomplishments of students, it's a time to celebrate with all people who have helped make this day possible. It is an event that everyone in attendance today will remember for the rest of your lives. This morning, in Scarberry Hall, parents, you get to see the fruits of your labor and all of the hard work that you have done to make this day a success. I want you to know that it is appropriate to clap and cheer as your child's name is called. We just want to make sure that every graduate has a chance to shine. And every parent has an opportunity to hear what they've waited for all these years. At this time, can you please turn your electronic devices to silent or vibrate? I just want to say thank you to everyone for your continued support. This day wouldn't be possible without you. I want to take a minute to honor a few guests that we have here and also to honor our own family. If I could, all staff at OSSB, I know you're a variety of places, can you please stand and just be recognized for your wonderful work?
It took me 17 years to learn to love and accept myself. It was difficult, but throughout various obstacles and roller coasters, I eventually learned how important it is to just accept me for me. When I came to OSSB, I thought I had myself all figured out, when actually, it was all a facade and I hated myself. Rather than learning from my mistakes, I began to blame myself for my mistakes. Eventually, I blamed myself so much, I spiraled down and started relying on other people for validation. That was the biggest mistake I made. And last year, when it all came collapsing down on me, it was like a rush of reality. During the time I experienced anger, and I let my insecurities out on other people. I was selfish. Fortunately, however, I realized how destructive my actions were to not only others, but to myself. But because of you, Miss Brooklyn, Miss Taylor, Miss B, Miss Hunkle, Mrs. Croft, Mrs. Picard, Miss Alvano, Miss Hans, Mrs. Swisher, Mrs. Barton, and most importantly, my advocate, Mrs. Parrish, I was able to accept myself, love myself. I thank you everyone at OSSB for being like a second family. The biggest thank you goes out to my wonderful family. I'm absolutely blessed to have such wonderful parents, my brother Daniel, and my two sisters Emily and Jenna. Lastly, I would like to thank Ariana Grande for being the best philosopher. Thank you, next.
Also with the help of OSSB, Andre has been connected with Columbus Day for next year. Precious has had some of her art displayed in galleries across the state. And Dane spent the last 2 years at the Delaware Area Career Center learning about information technology that would help him advance his career after high school. Wherever life takes us, we will always have OSSB to thank for our success. While we were here, we accomplished many things that we never thought we would be able to. We participated in sports teams and beat records that we will forever be proud of. Our swim team this year placed first in the semi-national conference. Sarah set a new school record for the 100 butterfly, and Yachi won every single event she participated in.
Career accomplishments is truly an understatement that hardly illustrates the impact he had on so many people's lives throughout his time spent as an educator. On a more personal note, those of you who are lucky enough to know Dr. Liu can remember that he was an enigma of a personality. His greatest pride and joy and happiness was his family, and he extended his deep love for life to those around him. His laugh was infectious, his never-ending optimism was contagious, and his interest in others from any walk of life was sincere. The impact he had on others is truly deep, unforgettable, and worthy of honoring. The following attributes for the Dr. Zinn Impact Award are taking a leadership role, making an impact on those of the lives of those around you, seeking positive change, an optimistic attitude, active in the school and community, and thinking outside the box. In the second year of this award, I am very pleased to present it to Andre Cummings. Frank Williams, and Courtney Whitmer from the Columbus Northern Lions Club.
Good morning and congratulations 2019 graduates. We are so honored to be here. The Columbus Northern Lions Club is celebrating our 50th anniversary in the Clintonville area. These awards would not be possible without the contributions and donations from individuals throughout the community. So thank you to everyone. As I stand up here, so I'm getting ready to celebrate my 20th year graduation from high school. And there are so many individuals that came up and spoke some amazing words. And Sarah, to your point, yes, you have stuff. And one of the things that I've learned in life is that life is like a roller coaster. Please keep your hands inside. Enjoy the ride. There are going to be highs and lows. But what I have found to be so successful is when I'm struggling is to reach out a hand and help others. And that is what we do with the Lions Club each and every day. So when I moved to Columbus 10 years ago, my goal was to get involved. With that being said, our mission at the Columbus Northern Lions Club is to continue their mission of service and to aid blind and visually impaired. And awarding the scholarship will be shared among the students who will be continuing their education in the extended school year program. These funds can be used for work materials or personal expenditures needed to support their post-secondary goals. This award is being presented to the following students and will arrive in the fall. Troy Stonerock. Chantel Reed. leadership qualities, community involvement, appropriate social interactions, respect for others, and well-liked by their peers and staff. This year, the DW Overby winner is Sophia Larrick.
Was a dedicated Braille production teacher here who assisted many of our students and staff producing much needed Braille materials. He always went above and beyond in getting materials ready for students, and he helped out in any way he could. He fell in love with the students and staff at the Ohio State School for the Blind. So in 2007, his wife Bonnie created a scholarship to honor his memory. She has a family commitment today that has provided these scholarships for over a decade, and we have 3 seniors who will be receiving this scholarship this year. The first student plans to continue their education at the Central Ohio Technical College and is receiving a $1,000 scholarship. She is a record-breaking swimmer, and this award goes to Sarah Cowan. And then transfer a year later to a 4-year college. She's receiving a $1,000 scholarship also. She's a multi-sport athlete and plans to pursue science. This award goes to Yachi Schumacher. She plans to continue her education at The Ohio University and is also receiving a $1,000 scholarship. This award goes to Sophia Larrick.
The 2019 graduating class of the Ohio State School for the Blind has met the prescribed requirements of the United States Department of Education and the State of Ohio Department of Education for graduation from high school, and that each is prepared to receive the appropriate diploma. At this point, graduates, please rise.
Ajane Kiara Bland.
Danielle Cabasa from Etna, Ohio. Sarah Cowan from Granville, Ohio. Andre D. Cummings from Cleveland, Ohio. Taylor Harding from New Philadelphia. Sophia Larrick from Shaker Heights.
All right, Sophia.
Constance Leanne McCready.
Yachi Schumacher from Columbus, Ohio. Dane Richard Stanley. Troy Stonerock from Columbus, Ohio. Precious Maria Thomas from Columbus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to present to you the Ohio State School for the Blind 2019 graduating class.
Advice and counsel, I give you Deputy State Superintendent, Dr. John Richard.
Good morning and thank you. On behalf of the Ohio Department of Education, I'd like to welcome the families, the alumni, obviously our school personnel, and no disrespect to everybody who's in the audience, but we are all here today to honor our students. So I know they're going to get a lot of applause today, but I think it's fitting. Graduates, having been with you for a few years as well, let's give them a great round of applause. So my words today are directed to our students. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be here. But let me just give you a few words. I'm going to add 4 more words to Dr. Manus's word grit. There are very, very few times in life that you meet a person who has a profound impact on your life And so as I was thinking about what to say today, I thought of two individuals who impacted my life when I was probably about your age. Someone who's confident, but at the same time humble, authoritative, but also gracious, displaying strength, yet inviting companionship, and someone whose very character kind of invites you to follow him. So years ago, I had the privilege to kind of meet two of these individuals through history and through literature. The first young man I want to talk about is Joe. And as a teenager of 17 years old, Joe was growing up way out in the country, raising animals in somewhat of a dysfunctional family. Joe's father seemed to favor him more than his older brothers. And as you can imagine, this made his brothers a little bit angry. Like most teenage boys, Joe had a lot of dreams. He had a lot of thoughts, but some of his dreams got him into trouble, with his brothers in particular, because he told them that he dreamed of overseeing them someday and actually ruling over them. So the brothers were not too happy about this. In fact, they became so jealous and upset that they actually plotted to kill him. Instead, they decided to sell him, and they lied to their father about what had happened. So now fast forward 20 years later, and Joe, who's also named Joseph, is now this highest ranking official in Egypt, second only to the king. And so if you're familiar with all of the story, at all with this story, you'll recognize it comes out of Genesis and the Old Testament literature. And you know that eventually his brothers do bow down to him. However, I want to kind of talk about the 20 years in between his 17th birthday and his 37th. Because during that time, through a number of events, he had been thrown into a cistern, a dried up well, he was sold into slavery, his boss's wife even tried to seduce him, and through all of that, he remained loyal to his boss. Then she falsely accused him, and he spent a couple of years in prison as a result of that. He didn't see his family for 20 years of his life. So there's this huge chasm or gap between the dreams that he had thought of as a young person and the fulfillment of those dreams. Although he had thought of this potential in his life, there were invasions, there were threats to his dream, and there were even temptations in prison during those 20 years. So when I now shift to another man that I learned about, and his name is Abraham Lincoln, President Lincoln. We all have probably grown up with a basic knowledge of honest aid, but it wasn't until I did some research in college that I found out more facts about President Lincoln. 29 years before he was elected as our 16th president, he failed pretty badly in business. The following year, in 1832, he was defeated when he ran for the legislature. In 1835, his fiancée died, and the next year he had a nervous breakdown. He was defeated in Congress in both 1843 and again defeated in 1848. He lost a Senate race in 1855. He lost the election for the vice presidency in 1856, and then he was once again defeated in running for the Senate in 1859. But most of us know that in 1860, he was elected as our president, the 16th president of the United States, and by and large, we know the rest of the story, or at least the highlights. Like Joseph, I talked about a few minutes ago, Abraham Lincoln had a dream that was unwavering, but he had a lot of obstacles to overcome first. And again, he never lost his dream of making a difference. These two men share four attributes that I want to just talk to you briefly about. The first is that both men had an approach to life that was marked by hope. They had dreams that they were committed to, regardless of the circumstances. Secondly, both Joseph and Abraham Lincoln had patience. Probably as much or more patience than anybody I know when you think about the 20 years in Joseph's life and the several decades also in Abraham Lincoln's life of a lot of failures. Yet they both held on to their dreams and they were patient through them. The third quality that marked both lives was that of high character. Both had a very high sense of right and wrong, and they held on to their convictions throughout. And then finally, Joseph and Abraham Lincoln were both known for forgiveness. Joseph, of course, had every reason to hold a grudge against his older brothers, yet he forgave them willingly. He embraced them 20 years later, and he even threw a huge feast and party in their honor.
Time for traffic from left to right. Right to left, Enjoy us attending our school alma mater. Everybody who's attended today, thanks for coming to make this day a special day. If I can have everyone, we're going to dismiss our graduates, but I want our students in the back row to be dismissed first, and after the students, there will be a recessional hall right down the hallway. So.